one nation under God. An 8-10 vote, he said. I can't see how anyone literally can be mad about this. Possibly if the person is an atheist. In Christianity, we don't take other religions and make fun of them. The children aren't any better. If anything, they're just modeling what they see at home. There would be moments when I would ask myself, one nation under God, you know, what does that mean?
Back soon. Not only is Harris, you ever notice when you say Harris, nobody knows who that you're talking about? No, nobody has any idea. Harris. Hey, where's Harris? They know Kamala. They know Kambabla. That was the nickname I used for a while, but I don't use it anymore because everyone thought I was just mispronouncing her name. I wasn't. Kambabla.
The Texas State Board of Education took a key vote today, adopting a new statewide curriculum that is going to allow for biblical teachings to be a part of the school curriculum. Man, I don't even know what to say about this. Like, I'm overexcited. Like, I'm over the moon about it. I mean, I'm happy about it. Maybe I have some things that I'm interested to see how they're going to play out. But just to hear this, I mean, this is definitely a W. You know what I mean? And I know there's going to be some pushback on this. Like, why does there need to be biblical teaching, you know, in our school? I mean, the only thing I'll say to that is, you know, the same reason why there needed to be transgender teachings in our schools, or a bigger push for the LGBTQIA plus community in our schools. Not that that needed to be there, right? But it is a place for teaching. So if we're not going to be offended about that, we're certainly not going to be offended about Jesus, children learning about Jesus, right? Right? Welcome to CozyCorner TV. We on the corner. Today we are talking about what Texas is actually up to when it comes to this new curriculum for schools and biblical teaching being a part of it.
The Texas State Board of Education took a key vote today on adopting a new statewide curriculum that would incorporate biblical teachings into the state's public schools. William Branham has more.
In an 8-7 vote, Texas school board officials approved these new course materials. Called Bluebonnet Learning, parts of these materials include religious lessons.
An 8-10 vote, he said. That's pretty good. I would say that that's pretty good. There were definitely a lot of people that were in favor of this. It's called Bluebonnet Learning. Parts of these materials include religious lessons.
The critics say undermine religious freedom and could isolate non-Christian students. Lesson plans as early as...
So they're worried about it undermining religious freedoms and isolating non-Christian students. I mean, I would say that it's a real fear that some parents probably have, and even some teachers probably have who aren't Christian. You know, hopefully they're teaching this thing right. The more they learn about Christianity, the more that they'll see that in Christianity, we don't take other religions and make fun of them, or, you know, try to make them feel like they're not regarded as anything. And because they're not a Christian, God doesn't see them or God doesn't love them. That's not what Christianity is about. So hopefully in these teachings, some of that gets out there.
Kindergarten highlight Christian religious teachings like Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. This new curriculum in Texas follows Republican-led efforts in other neighboring states to similarly give Christianity a stronger presence in public schools. Following this all closely is Jaden Edison. He's the education reporter for the Texas Tribune. Jaden Edison, so good to have you on the program. So this measure passes today. When could this curriculum get rolled out, and do schools have to adopt it?
Yeah, so in our conversation with education officials earlier this year, it was made clear that if approved by the State Board of Education, which is what happened today, then the materials will become available as early as spring 2025, right, which is early next year. And then from
So he said if approved, which happened today. So it is something that actually went through, and it said if it is approved that the materials will be available for 2025, the school year of 2025.
there, obviously, school districts would then order the materials and they will be available for usage as soon as the 25-26 school year. And so, to the question of, whether or not they're required, it is optional, right? But if school districts adopt those materials, they will receive up to a $60 per student incentive to purchase the textbooks and then also go on to print those materials.
So that's great. They're giving them a $60 incentive per student to make the purchases for these materials, which I think is great. There's an incentive to actually purchase these things. It works in the school's favor. And why not, right? Like, why not give that incentive for something that's going to be positive, something that's going to help change someone's life or help children interact with people way better than what we see in society today, right? Because there's not a lot of great interaction. Relationships sucks. The way we treat each other sucks. The way we interact with each other most of the time sucks. And, the children aren't any better. If anything, they're just modeling what they see at home. So why not give an incentive to push this kind of stuff?
The reason why that's obviously relevant and important to note is because Texas school districts really have gone about a half a decade, right, with no significant boost in state funding.
Wow.
Help us understand what the rationale is. For the proponents of this, why do they argue that infusing education with more Christian teachings is helpful in a multicultural, multi-religious state and nation?
Right. Well, I think you've seen a lot of arguments that students need to learn more about the nation's founding, right? And they frame it around this argument that obviously the Bible played an integral role in the founding of the country, right? So I think that's one part of it, but obviously
and that's a good part of it, if not one of the best part of it. He says that he thinks that one of the reasons this is happening is because the Bible played a foundational role in the forming of this country, right? One nation under God. And for a lot of people, they don't understand what that means. They just think that, in God we trust. This is just stuff that we see on like, a famous U.S. documents or just on money. And it's way deeper than that. The forefathers had something else in mind when they said one nation under God. Now, I'm by no means saying that the forefathers were perfect. Some people will argue, well, they had slaves and some of them believed in slavery. Absolutely. And we know that even today we can see people read the Bible and completely misinterpret what they're reading, especially if they have no help. But I think that for me, that's probably one of the biggest parts of it. If you're going to be one nation under God, then teach the children about the God that the nation is under.
For to understand the kind of political dynamics, right? Where you have state officials who criticize how school districts teach about, America's history of racism and gender and its diversity. And so in many ways too, like the larger kind of ideological conversation being had, there are many people who believe this is also an attempt to kind of infuse more Christianity in the schools, right? But also to accomplish what, many people say, is a problem, which is the fact that the Bible and Christianity is not present enough in schools.
And I will agree with him there. The problem is that the Bible and Christianity is not present enough in schools. And he's comparing it to some of the things that we see being pushed really hard in schools, like racism or issues on gender or how to be more affirming of the LGBTQIA plus community. So we see all of those things being pushed thoroughly and really hard in schools, but we don't see Christianity and the Bible being pushed as hard. As a matter of fact, I might date myself a little bit here, but some of you probably go to public school right now and you've never said the Pledge of Allegiance. And that was something that going to school, I grew up saying every single morning in school. And one thing that's in there is one nation under God. And I don't, maybe at some age you don't think about what under God means too much. Maybe in the first, second grade, you barely think about it. But I know the more I said it, and as I got older in school and I had to keep saying it, there would be moments when I would ask myself, one nation under God, what does that mean? And that is really a beautiful open door for someone to share the gospel with a child or with a young person.
And the critics of this, of which there are many, and your reporting is detailed, their concerns, help us understand, what are they upset about?
Yeah, so I think it's two-pronged, right? I think on one level there was concern that by placing a heavy emphasis on Christianity, right, this could lead to the isolation and bullying of children who are not Christian, right? Who subscribe to other faiths or no faith at all. And so I think that's.
And there would be no reason for isolation or bullying of children who are not Christian. Christianity doesn't stand for that. And those of us who are Christians, we know that. But again, that would be some stigma that's around Christianity, maybe and or behind it. But it's definitely not what Christianity is about. That's not the gospel. That's not the message of Jesus. So it's not about isolating or bullying anyone. But I can still understand the stigma around it.
One part of it. But then there's also a legal kind of concern, right? With the Constitution obviously prohibiting, the government from endorsing a particular state religion. Well, obviously there are religious scholars and public education advocates here in Texas who believe that this particular curriculum crosses the line, right? And so I think it's two-pronged. And I also want to make clear, right? People are not.
Some people believe that it crosses the line. Some people believe that the state is not supposed to enforce just one specific religion and or God. So that's where he's saying there could be probably some legal things taking place, or where some people are probably pushing back a little bit from a legality matter.
I'm not saying from what I hear, right, that religion shouldn't be taught, but I think, they're trying to draw a line between teaching and preaching, right? And I think, many people feel that this is doing the latter.
Right. He feels like many people feel like this is doing the latter. So the teachers definitely won't be preaching. At least they shouldn't be, right, in the classroom. But I don't think that there's any harm in going through school curriculum that teaches a child what the Sermon on the Mount means, kind of picks it apart for them, tells them different lessons that they can learn from Jesus or the people in the story about how to treat others. This is a complete win. So I can't see how anyone literally can be mad about this, possibly if the person is an atheist, which then at that point we would understand. But this is literally a win. Some of the garbage that's been being pushed into schools, it's not helping anybody. I feel like it's caused a lot more confusion, a lot more depression and anxiety within the children. So I feel like this is actually something that will help, right? Jesus is the great physician. So I believe that this is the perfect prescription to give children. You guys let me know what you think about in the comments about this. I think it's a win. I'm happy about it. So thanks guys for stopping by in the corner and chilling with me. Be easy. Love one another. See you next time. Peace.